I heard it say my brother's name and started laughing maniacally. r/AskReddit by online comps. Serious, what is the most paranormal or unexplainable event or events you have witnessed? I have one. It must have been some kind of hallucination. But it really scared me. I was sitting in my bed watching YouTube for a couple hours. I got up and reached forward to set something on my nightstand or whatever. I had this strange undescribable feeling that I hadn't actually moved from where I was sitting at all. I quickly turned around and looked at where I was sitting seconds before. And there I was, still sitting there. I was outside my body. I could see the shocked, horrified expression come to my face at such a strange sight. I quickly sat back down right in the same spot. And nothing strange happened again. I'll bring out this story again. It happened to me 7 years ago. And I can't figure it out, but I lost an hour of time in what felt to me like minutes. At the time I was working from home after a serious illness diagnosis. I had settled into a routine. Up at 7 AM and do house stuff and shower, then at 8 AM start prepping my work and laying out my day. Phone calls and emails from 8 to 9. This is all I remember. It was 7:55 and I brewed a cup of Keurig coffee on my kitchen located on the main floor of my house. I went upstairs to my office and turned on my computer to settle in and realized I forgot the coffee in the kitchen. I went back downstairs and got the coffee. As soon as I realized I forgot it, couldn't have been more than the time it took Windows to boot up. But I took a sip and the coffee was cold. Not warm, but actually cold. I thought my Keurig was broke. But I looked at the clock and it said 9:14. So whereas I expected it to be 8:05 maximum, somehow an hour and 10 minutes passed without explanation. It was very bothersome. I have no idea where that hour went. I have never had any blackout before or since. No seizures, and the meds I was on shouldn't have caused a lapse like that. I don't think I fell asleep because I distinctly remember typing my password and saying out loud, shit, I forgot the coffee. It kinda left me uneasy a bit. Nothing like had ever happened to me before or since. After my dad passed away, my stepmom kept asking me if I found the book he was reading in his last month or months. She didn't know the title. We looked all over the house for it. Eventually found it with a stack of magazines. Definitely not where it belonged in the house. My stepmom recognized it immediately when found. The title of the book was Hello from Heaven. I also received a phone call 2 days after he passed away. His phone call was from his phone number. For some reason I was too scared to answer. Asked the only person who had the phone, stepmom, if she had called from it. She said she left it in the garage where he always worked. This was 14 years ago. I still regret not answering the phone. I was in my laundry room and I heard someone come up behind me. And I swear they whispered. I screamed so loud and thought it was my husband playing a prank on me. When I turned around, no one was there. And it was so freaky. Also, when I was a teenager, I was sitting in my room at my computer desk. And piece of paper and pen went up in the air and slammed back down. I ran downstairs to tell my mom. And I was crying hysterically. My mom thinks I just hallucinated it. I work in a prison. Before my job in the jail changed. My sergeant at the time asked if I would cover the 11 PM count on one of the blocks. He didn't care what I did before or after. Just do the count. No prob. I'm sitting at our Times Square area. One hallway leads to 4 blocks. And another hallway leads to the other 4. I'm sitting in front of one of those hallways. I hear someone walking towards me from behind. But I realize I don't hear keys. We all have keys, except inmates. I turn around. No one there. I think, okay, maybe I just imagined it. Guy sitting in the area with me asks who it was. I guess I didn't imagine it. Alright then. 11 PM comes. I go to the block. No one is letting me in. WTF. I go back to the Times Square area to call and let the officer know not to panic. I'm coming. I just can't get in. As I'm on the phone, I feel someone behind me and they lean into my ear and whisper forcefully, "What are you doing?" I wave my hand back to signal to them to stop. I hang up and turn to yell at who it was. No one is there. No one is in any hallway. I'm all alone. We have so many stories from this ducking place, but your story reminded me of the second part of mine, so I had to tell it. About 5 years ago my husband and I went to visit his grandma. Big, beautiful 2-story house. I was going to head upstairs to put some pajamas on, and saw a woman walk across the top of the stairs. It was only my husband, young daughter and his grandma in the house. And whoever I saw wasn't Granny. I went in the living room and told them what I saw, and his grandma goes, "Yeah, that's Lori. She visits a lot." Lori was my husband's mom who had died when he was 11. I was so fucking spooked after that. I barely slept the rest of the time we were there. On the day my father died, I was alone in the apartment we lived in. While everyone was out mourning at my uncle's, I stayed home because I didn't want people to stare at me sobbing. Anyways, I'm in the living room and I hear footsteps in my mother's room that has a balcony. I straight up hear the balcony door open. So now I'm like sobbing and shouting asking who's there. I go check it out. And there's no one there except a strong smell of tobacco in the room. My father used to smoke on the balcony. Never told anyone about it and just kept it for myself. Later learned my mother got blamed for my dad's death, even though they loved each other since they were teens, and my dad was simply a victim of cancer. And a massive brawl broke out. So I just thought of it as my dad coming home because he couldn't be bothered to hear people arguing. After my mother died I went to her grave a few times a week. I usually had my kids with me. And this one day as we passed all the older cemeteries my eldest son who was 6 at the time asked, "Mom, what are all those people waiting for? Why are they just standing there?" The cemetery was empty and not a single human was there. When we got to my mom's grave he held my hand and said, "Don't worry, Grandma is with Mom and they are happy." Mom was my mother's sister who passed away before my husband and I were even married. My son knew nothing of her or what we called her. He also would tell us when someone had died in a house. When I was 13, I woke up in the middle of the night to a strange man's voice. I couldn't understand what he was saying because he was talking really fast. But at one point I heard it say my brother's name, and then it started laughing maniacally. My dad heard it too and came running into my room and turned the lights on. No one was there. Absolutely no explanation. Another time, I woke up in the middle of the night and I heard what sounded like a cult gathering right outside my window. It was like 3 AM and I could just very clearly hear a group of people singing/chanting while a baby wailed. After about 10 to 20 minutes, it suddenly stopped. My stepdad found our puppy Eddie on the side of the road. Someone had thrown him out of a moving car, and he had broken legs, broken teeth, a swollen and closed eye, and was severely dehydrated. My stepdad took him to the vet and paid quite a bit of money for surgeries to get Eddie fixed up. He got attached to the doggo, so we ended up adopting him. After that, even though he was the family dog, he was best buds with my stepdad. Anywhere my stepdad was around the house, you could find Ed tagging along. Eddie and I grew up together. He died while I was in college, and my parents buried him in a pet cemetery. Since it was sort of sudden, and I was far away, I didn't get to say goodbye. A few months after that, I had a dream where Eddie comes and finds me. His hair is matted and dirty, and his flesh looks kind of rotted. But he's wagging his tail and seems really happy to see me again. Eddie starts leading me down a hazy path, and the farther we go, the faster his tail wags. Finally, we get to this giant wall of mist that extends across the entire horizon and rises higher than I can see. Eddie gets real close to it before trotting back to me. He licks my hand, gives me a couple of nose boops and whines a little. Then he turns around again and starts to do that happy dog prance toward the wall until he finally passes through it. I can sort of see his outline jumping up and down excitedly next to a human-shaped figure. I jog after Eddie and reach my hand out to touch the wall, hoping I'll be able to pass through it too. That's when my cell phone rings in real life, waking me up. When I answer it, my mom is on the other end crying. My stepdad had just died of a heart attack. Please like and comment on the video. Hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to avoid dying from lick overdose from this dog. Thanks for watching, and good luck to everyone. You'll finish that someday.